Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. It is I, Carmella Nicole George. How are y'all doing today? Let me find it good. How are y'all doing today? Give me 1 second here. Okay, I'm back. And my internet is kind of spotty, so y'all have to forgive me. It looks like it's a little low if this is breaking up at all. But I am going to take some questions today. I had a random burst of energy, and the VA system is down right now. And so I figured I'd come on to take some questions. Please forgive me. I've had extensive dental surgery, and I'm waiting to go back for the second half of it. So my words might be kind of slurred and that type of thing. That's exactly why I haven't been present for a long period of time because of my dental surgery, but I'm still recovering. It's a 4-month recovery period, and I just hit the 2-month mark. So, but I'm back, and I'm happy to be with you all. So let's jump right into it. Okay, here we go. I received a service connection for asthma in 2012. Since it's now a presumptive disability, can I get retro from when I got out in 2010? So, this is a very good question. To answer your question, the VA itself has not specifically answered this question yet, but the usual, and I believe they're going to follow the rules they've always been following. The answer is probably no, you're only going to get paid from the date of claim. Generally, effective date rules only go to the date of claim. There are some exceptions, but I don't think those apply in this case. It's a new law. Well, it isn't even law yet or regulation. Actually, right now it's just policy. They just released the federal rules on the Federal Register the other day. But I don't know why I put this lifesaver in my mouth, but I do not think that you will get retro pay from 2010. I think it will only be from the date of claim. So that's why it's essential that you get your claims in today, as early, your supplemental claims as early as possible. If it's been denied before, it must be a supplemental claim. If it has not been denied before, you've never put in for it before, it has to be a new claim on a 526 EZ or on va.gov. If it's been denied before, it must go on a 20-0995 supplemental claim form. I have an appeal at the BVA. I'm 100% PNT SMCL 8 in attendance. If I file another SMCL, loss of use would. I don't see the rest of the questions. Sorry. But generally, if you're going to file another SML, they might. It is a possibility that they might look at the SML that you're already receiving. So just keep that in mind. I am 100% PNT as of February 2020 for depression and anxiety. I have a supplemental claim from 2015 for fatigue that is being reviewed. Am I at risk of losing my PNT due to this supplemental claim? No, you should not be at risk of losing your PNT if fatigue is not part of the PNT. They should not review the rest of the stuff that you're. Generally, the policy these days, while they can do it, they don't do it. They generally don't review the rest of the items unless you specifically put in for them. Veterans need to fight for benefits. It's too bad we need to. Finally, 100%, but I gave up thousands of dollars over the years. This is absolutely true. Fight for what you're due. Is 100% really permanent after age 50? This is a very good question. What the policy states is that after 55, they should not really touch it or decrease it, but nothing's ever truly permanent with the VA. If you were to reopen something yourself or have something looked into, it could trigger a review of your file. They could find the error. They could reverse something. The law says after 20 years, they can't reverse for anything but fraud. So if they were to find some level of fraud after 20 years, they could reverse. So in reality, nothing's ever permanent with the VA, but in theory, it should be after 55. I have an appeal for sleep apnea secondary to PTSD, which is like 86,000 on the docket. Man, it's really harder for me to talk than I thought. Okay. When I look back, they said on one of my denials that they would consider sleep apnea secondary to my asthma if I had evidence and information to submit. Would it hurt me to submit sleep apnea secondary to my asthma while the appeal is still in process? Could I literally have a secondary disability affected by more than one primary condition? The answer is no and yes. No, it won't hurt you. Yes, you could have a secondary disability affected by more than one primary condition. I was recently diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis. Can I submit a claim? The answer is yes, you can submit a claim, but the real question is it related to service? Is it tied to anything in your service record? Can you relate it secondarily to anything in you're already service connected for? And the question is, what is your rheumatoid arthritis of? Is it of the knee? Is it of the hip? Is it of the back? I mean, it needs to be specific to something. If you just claim rheumatoid arthritis itself, they're going to send you a letter asking you where your arthritis is at. So be specific in your claim. Can a Nexus letter help with the PTSD MST case? In certain cases, it can. What policy states is that MST or PTSD must be diagnosed by the VA in order to be service connected. So you have to have a diagnosis from the VA first, whether that's through ongoing treatment or by CMP exam. And so, outside Nexus letter can influence the examiner or influence your treatment provider to provide that diagnosis. So in some cases, it does help. My husband had appointments for IU consideration and met Friday. Next Friday will be a month. How long does it take to get a response? There is no specific time frame. It could take a few days. It could take a few weeks. It could take a year, a few months, or a year. It just depends. A lot of it depends on if a contractor did the exam, how long does it take for that examiner and their quality assurance department to return the exam to the VA. That, my friends, is what takes most of the time on claims these days. Jess was diagnosed with sleep apnea. Trying to get service connected. I contacted my VSO to put in a claim, and I told him secondary to my service connected back or knee due to not being able to sleep because of the pain and weight gain. Haven't been able to do daily activities or exercise because of my conditions. My doctor did state that my sleep apnea had something to do with my weight and advised me I was wasting time because they probably wouldn't connect me. Should I go ahead and follow through? I would Who told you were wasting time? The VSO. The VSO told you were wasting time. I think hopefully the VSO made it clear on your claim that you were claiming sleep apnea as secondary to weight gain and pain. If that's not clear to the examiner, they're probably going to say no. Even if it was clear to the examiner, there's a likelihood that they might say no. I see this all the time. You usually have to have some type of outside letter, or it has to go to the board to get approved, but it's not impossible. I'll put it that way. Certainly, it's far from impossible, but it's a tough claim. If his exams were through the VA, they should have been returned relatively quickly. I am of the opinion that the VA turns around exams, the VA itself, VA medical centers turn around exams faster than contractors. So I would not expect the wait to be very long. If it's been a month, it might be something on the rating side that's holding up the exam. They could have requested more federal documents or a clarification from the examiner or something like that. So there's probably a reason for the wait. You're just going to have to wait. What are additional claims I could be filing secondary to PTSD? Additional claims you could be filing secondary to PTSD are conditions that you actually have that are bothering you, that you feel like your mental health is affecting, whether it's headaches, sleep apnea, hypertension, gastrointestinal problems like IBS, vertigo, joint pain. I mean, literally, it could be anything secondary to PTSD that you feel like your mental health is influencing. I claimed high blood pressure and hypertension that was caused by antidepressant medication. Do I have a claim? You certainly do. Whether it gets approved or not has a lot to do with the examiner and the VA itself. Hey, my claim for GERD and respiratory condition states on e-benefits that one is 0% service connected and one is not. But they are saying my claim is still open. Something might have been deferred. Deferred means delayed for more information, which means they needed more information from the provider, the examiner, more records from your private provider, more federal records. Something else on a claim outstanding was needed before they could make a decision. And so that's why the claim might still be open, although a decision has been made on some of it. Hey, I have PTSD and I have some sort of sleep apathy. I'm having trouble putting a claim for secondary for my PTSD. How can I submit in for it? If you're having trouble doing it online, I would submit a paper form. They're readily available online. Just get a paper form or either fax or mail it in. And that will alleviate your problem. Do you advise vets to do genetic testing? This is an interesting question. I never have. I have never seen a reason to have such done. If I were to see a need for it to be done in a claim, I would advise it, but I haven't had to yet. And I've done a whole lot of claims. I believe in the past year, I've served nearly 1,000 veterans. Always check reviews of CMP examiners with online searches. No, all are the same. No, all are the same and not have all interest with the veteran's mind. This is good advice. May I say thanks for helping all veterans and family understanding all these claims and how to get through the loopholes. Oh, you're very much welcome. I love doing it. Yes, VSO said waste of time. All I'll say is it's not impossible. Your VSO has seen your file. I have not. That's the difference in my advice and theirs. I'm 10% tendonitis. I did a secondary to my major depression with anxiety and insomnia. Had a Nexus letter. Nexus letter from my psychiatrist stating that my major depression and anxiety and insomnia is due to ringing in the ears due to the fact that I cannot sleep and it's causing me major depression. Had a CMP exam with VES and still denied. What can I do? Ask for a higher level review and argue the benefit of the doubt. I have chronic fatigue syndrome, irritable bowel syndrome, and fibromyalgia, all diagnosed but not yet claimed. I also have estrogens and autoimmune disease. My doctor says it's likely related to toxin exposure, JP5S8, and solvents. He's a VA doctor, so not likely to write a Nexus. Well, if he told you it's related to toxin exposure, he might be more willing than you think to write a Nexus, so I would ask, he or she. I was diagnosed after service, but also have a note in my active duty records that says most likely have MS, which is commonly mixed up with sojourns. The military doctor never sent me for testing. I also have PTSD and found journals linking it to AI issues that you have. You're probably asking, is it better to file under Gulf War or to file it secondary to PTSD? I can't see the rest of your question. But my advice would probably be to do it secondary to both. Take every opportunity you have to get it service connected. Those things generally, CFS, IBS, fibromyalgia, fall succinctly under Gulf War syndrome and Gulf War related claims. But those claims are only getting approved. The last report that I read was only 20% of those claims were getting approved, and 80% were being denied. So any Gulf War syndrome claim is a hard claim to go about. But since you already have a diagnosis for those things, it might be a bit easier for you. So my advice would be to claim it both primary and secondary. I believe that's what you're asking. I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, ask me the question again in a succinct way. If I got 10% bilateral for my toes, does it mean 10 times 2? If I got 10% bilateral for my foot, where did I read those? Does it mean 10 times 2? No, it means you got 10% for your feet if that's all they gave you. It might be, if you're talking about plantar fasciitis, there's a new rating schedule that it's not top of mind right now, so it could just be 10% for both feet. But depending on when it was rated, you might want to look into a clear and unmistakable error or something like that, to see if you would get another 10% for the other foot. It might be just 10% for both feet. Even if it is 10% for both feet, the bilateral factor should still play in. So take a look at your code sheet and make sure they added the bilateral factor to your feet. Man, my sinuses are really acting up. I keep getting denied on my PTSD claim. Should I file a claim connecting my depression, anxiety, migraine, and TMJ to my service-connected tinnitus, since it's a trigger for all these conditions, including my PTSD? I would. I would. I had a CMP exam Friday afternoon, and the VA rendered a negative decision on Monday. That happens quite frequently. Is chronic fatigue claim automatically denied if I'm already service connected for depression due to pyramid? No, it's not. Those are two separate claims and two separate parts of the rating schedule. One is mental, the other is not. Can sinusitis be linked as secondary to chronic rhinorrhea? I've seen it secondary to rhinitis. I don't necessarily know what rhinorrhea is, but sounds similar. You guys listen to Miss George. She helped me. Thanks for the shout out. I had my CMP exam Juneteenth and haven't heard anything yet. I'm on the presumption list caused by Agent Orange. Why the wait? They're probably waiting on CMP exams to be returned. How do I ask the VBA for P&T status? Is there a form to submit? So what the M21-1 says is that you must submit a request for permanent and total, which is essentially entitlement to dependence and educational assistance, Chapter 35, on a 526 EZ original claim for benefits, and just ask for permanent and total status. It is going to, you should know that it is going to require going through another exam for whatever is not permanent. In order to find out what's not permanent or not listed as static on your list of disabilities, you're going to have to get your rating code sheet. You can get that from your representative or request it from the VA. But you need to look at your rating code sheet, find out what's not static. Static means not intended to improve or no hope for future improvement, so they consider it static. There's something up there that's scheduled for a future exam that will show you the exact date and what the disability is, the rating code sheet. And from there, you can ask for permanent and total for that specific disability. Make sure that they specify. Make sure that you specify, or I do this in my request for P&T for veterans. I specify that I'm only asking to be examined for the disability that is non-static, and that I know that this is inherently a request for increase. So make sure that you understand that when you're filing for P&T status, you're asking for an increase. Even if you're already 100% scheduler, you are asking for an increase on whichever disability is not static. So that's how you make a request for P&T status. You need to request it on an original application for benefits, the 526 EZ. Make it very clear what you're asking. Tell them that you understand it's a request for increase. You're asking for entitlement to DEA benefits, Chapter 35, and you only wish to be examined for the disability which isn't static. Are there secondaries to a presumption like heart disease? Yes, there are many secondaries to heart disease, and you can certainly file for them. Just because the primary disease, though, is presumptive does not make the secondary condition presumptive. You will still have to prove service connection for the secondary condition. Should the Joe Grand's Nexus letter, include the doctor's thoughts on toxic exposure PTSD in the note in my active duty record saying I most likely have MS, but was never tested. Just wondering if I should hit all the factors at once. I would. If it's relevant and it helps, I would include it. Why is it hard to claim Gulf War syndrome? I should clarify. It is very easy to claim Gulf War syndrome. You can fill out a claim form, put Gulf War syndrome up there, turn it in. You can fill out a paper form, put Gulf War syndrome, turn it in. You can go online, type in Gulf War syndrome and press submit and turn it in. But only 20% of those claims by the numbers are being approved. And so that's what makes it hard to get service connected for Gulf War syndrome. It's very easy to claim it. It's harder to get service connected for it. Hope all is well. I have a diagnosis of DDD, lower lumbar spine. Is there any resources you could point me to that will provide info on DDD and how DBD could be connected to my bilateral pads, plantar flat feet, plantar fasciitis, severe osteoarthritis, right ankle, right leg atrophy, and bilateral knee arthritis? I would look into like some resource like PubMed.gov, National Institutes of Health, a site like UpToDate. A lot of examiners use that site, UpToDate.com. And I will look into kinetic chain theory. How long will it take to my claim? How long will it take for my claim to get to the judge? My claim is waiting for a judge. It could be a while. It's going to take upwards of a year or so. It also depends on whether it's a legacy claim or in the new system. I've been told that as of April, the VA kind of halted processing the claims under AMA and just went to try to finish all the legacy system claims. The BVA did. I haven't read that anywhere except for what I heard from a fellow agent. So I don't really know what's going on. All I know is that a lot of my agency legacy claims have been getting decided or been getting scheduled for a hearing, and my AMA claims, Appeals Modernization Act claims, are not moving. So which system is your claim in? And that might tell you how long you're going to wait. Probably, though, generally about a year and a half or more. If that's why generally my strategy with claims is to try to develop it as much as possible at the agency level. You can request a hearing on any initial or supplemental claim. You can request an informal conference on a higher level review. That helps you develop the record. So when you get to the Board of Veterans Appeals, all you have to do is ask for direct review and you don't have to request a hearing. I mean, getting a hearing could take 3 to 4 years right now. I mean, it's just a long, long wait. It's ridiculous. Can you not get VA benefits if you have an NGB 22? Hold on. That has something to do with the National Guard, and the answer to your question is I'm not sure because I'm not sure what that is. Could you spell it out for me? Can you get 2 or more possible ratings from a CMP exam on knee flexation condition? Yes. You can get a rating for flexation, extension, and instability. And there's another one you can get if your knee hyperextends too far backwards. I think it's called genu ren, but that might pyramid one of the other ones. I know for a fact there's 3 possible scenarios in a knee condition. I'm not sure about the 4th one, but you can get extension, bending, extension, and instability, all at the same time. Can you go back and discuss the difference between chronic fatigue and chronic fatigue syndrome? This is a very interesting question, one that I've spent a lot of time pondering, because basically anytime you put in a claim for fatigue, the VA processes it as chronic fatigue syndrome, when in actuality you have not put in a claim for chronic fatigue syndrome. So I don't know why they're processing processing it as chronic fatigue syndrome. In the medical world, I'm not a medical professional. I do this every day. I see thousands of disabilities, and it's just disability world kind of talk that I'm giving, not medical talk, medical professional talk. In disability world, fatigue is generally a symptom of a symptom of something else, of some other, whether it's iron deficiency, headaches, PTSD, mental health condition. It's usually a symptom of some other condition. So I think this is why the VA gets confused when you put in a claim for fatigue. They process it as chronic fatigue syndrome. But they really need to stop doing this, because if you file for fatigue, it's just fatigue. That's my take on it. So to answer your question, I don't know what the difference is between chronic fatigue and chronic fatigue syndrome, but I clearly think there's a difference between just fatigue itself and chronic fatigue syndrome. If let's go back. If I were filing a claim and I did not have a diagnosis of chronic fatigue syndrome, it might be more strategic to file something like excessive daytime sleepiness rather than just fatigue. Because if you file fatigue, they're going to process it as chronic fatigue syndrome. Miss George, how can I get you to help me file for my increase in other secondary conditions? Okay, so Miss George is not currently accepting new clients. I'm absolutely full, just as full as I can go. I can't take anybody else. I'm pushed to my limits, extended as far beyond probably what I should be. I have more than 500 active veterans. I love them all. I try to serve them well, and I want to provide a really great and timely service. So I've decided until mid-September, I'm not taking anybody new, so I can just focus on my current clients. But there's good news. You can contact other good accredited agents. I made a post in the group, the VA Nexus group, about containing the names of other good agents. I won't try to name them right now off the top of my head, or I'll forget somebody and I'll feel bad about it. But I made a post in the group with other good accredited claims agents. If you go to my website, veteransdisabilityclaims.com, veterans with the S, claims with the S, veteransdisabilityclaims.com. I have three agents listed up there that I refer people to on the pop-up that comes up on my website. You can get those references there, but there are other good options to help with your claim. What I do not advise is to wait on me to file a claim. That is just not very smart. File your claim, find help, file your claim. It does not have to be me. There are lots of other competent people out there. How do I get a copy of my CMP exam? The fastest way to get a copy is to get a representative with VBMS access, Veterans Benefit Management System. Every accredited representative has the option to have access to the system. Some choose not to. I don't really understand that, but they do. But I will find a representative who has electronic access who can get that for you quickly. The other option is to request it from the VA. That might take a long time. Pronounced Sjogren's. Well, I was kind of close. I sent you a message in Messenger. I pray that you see it when you start back taking clients. I'm at a loss and no one knows how to help me. I'm so sorry I haven't seen it yet. I finally got through my inbox the other day. I had my sister helping me, and we got through my inbox, but the whole other inbox of just message requests for people sending is beyond my capacity right now, but I will get to it when I get a chance, but it's just not right now. Or probably not until I start taking new clients again. I have been tested by psychologists for positive for dementia due to Agent Orange from service in Vietnam. What is the rating? I believe dementia is rated on a mental health schedule. I could be wrong. I was denied for MST I have a lot of allergy problems right now. I was denied for MST PTSD due to my dates of pregnancy being incorrect. I told the examiner I couldn't remember. She said she'd hunt in my records and thought I was blocking it out. Is it supplemental to fix it since the denial stated when it occurred? Well, I think that's kind of a crazy reason for denial. Just because you got the dates incorrect. Obviously, there was a pregnancy. Obviously, there was a child either born or unborn or whatever happened to the pregnancy. I don't mean to be insensitive. Please forgive me if that sounded like it. But I think that's a silly reason not remember the dates for being denied. I would appeal to the BVA or do a higher level review or maybe a supplemental with new evidence and a nexus. But I'll probably take it to the board. I have a legacy of appeal from 2015. Is there anything that I can look up or anyone I can call to get info on a status? My understanding is there's a new app that the VA has released. It's on every app store, Google Play, Apple App Store, Android, whatever y'all that still use Androids have. My understanding is that it's called VA Benefits and Health or VA Health and Benefits or something like that, but it's officially from the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. And if you look up there, you can get your claim status, and it should tell you what number and line you are for appeals. So I think that's a pretty good way to get an update on your legacy appeal. Other than that, you could get a representative with electronic access, and they could tell you a little more what's happening with it. Hi, what do I do with 50% service connected? You should probably put in for an increase, but before you do that, you want to check the rating schedule and make sure there's room for increase. Like for example, if you're rated for, I understand you're a female, but if you were to be rated for female sexual arousal disorder or erectile dysfunction, 0% is likely all you're going to get unless you have some deformity of the creative organ or penile deformity. So if you're rated for tinnitus, 10% is all you're going to get. There is no more. You see what I'm saying? So you want to check to make sure that 0% is not all you can get for those disabilities. If there's more to be gotten and you feel your disability has worsened, put in for an increase. I had surgery, partial knee replacement surgery in January, and my claim was filed on February 2nd for temporary 100%. The regulation claim changed on February 7th to go from 13 months temp 100 to 5 months temp 100. The 100% claim was added to a claim I filed in December and decided on May 12th. This is a very good question. The answer off the top of my head is that what matters is not the date it was filed, but the date it was decided, because it was decided after the new regulation went in effect. The 5 months might be all that you're able to get, but you might want to consult with somebody else. I could very well be wrong on that, but that is the top of my head answer. I would need to go back and read the regulation. Informal conference for HOLR for tinnitus denial. I know you can't have any new evidence. Can I bring up the reason for my denial and not a valid reason according to several BVA decisions? Yes. In an HOLR, you are not allowed to present new evidence and new stuff, but you certainly can present argument. You want to be very clear with the reviewer that you are making an argument for your case. You are bringing up an error of fact or law. You are not submitting new evidence. These BVA decisions that I'm referencing do not constitute new evidence. This is strictly argument for the purposes of showing you that the denial reason was not valid for my claim. It's the National Guard equivalent to the DD-214 for soldiers who didn't go active. Yes, I believe that would prevent you from getting VA benefits. Somebody correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. Have you ever asked VBA to perform a retrospective exam and Q exams that go back for many years? I have not. Exams on Qs are usually given when there's a belief that diagnosis has changed or was incorrect. So a Q, let's say 80% of the time, should be based on the record as is. The only time a Q cannot be based on the record as is when there's a diagnosis issue. Also, do accredited agents have access to all our records? Yes. I never requested them before I filed, thinking naively everything would be in there for them to see. Or do I still need to request them? Yes, we have access to everything a VA employee can see, we can see. Except contractor systems. Like I can't go in and see what VES is doing until VES returns your files to the VA. I can't see it. But a VA employee can go in the VES portal and see what the status of your exams. So there's a little bit difference in what we can see, but not very much. My VSO put me in for TBI asking for SMCT in March. It came back at 40%, so he appealed it, and they are doing the exact CMP as before. I was in a landmine explosion. Is this normal from the VA? That's an interesting question. Did he submit a supplemental claim? That might be why they're asking for another exam. I'm a little confused about why they're asking for another exam. That's what's got me stuck. I might have appealed to the BVA so you wouldn't have to go through another exam, but that's tit for tat. I haven't seen your file. Your VSO has. It sounds like they're taking action for you, which is a good thing. If your symptoms still meet the 40% level, your TBI is pretty bad. So, at any rate, if they think you're eligible for SMTT, you should pursue it. I've recently transferred my medical to the VA. They have now diagnosed me and have upped my medications. Can their medical information be used in my claims for VA benefits, or is it better to use civilian documentation? Both are equal. So yes, it can be used in your claims. Yes, you should use it in your claims. And yes, it can be beneficial to get an increase. As well, the same goes for civilian documentation. I'm 100% PMT with SMCL ANA. I have an open appeal at the VVA. If I file for another SMCL loss of use, would this claim be processed on the special ops lane, or would it go to the core lane? I've never heard it referred to as special ops lane and core lane, so I don't really know what you're talking about. But if you're talking about if you fall into the BVA, it's whatever lane you choose, or at the VA, it's whatever lane you choose. If you have some type of financial hardship, if you're over 85 years old or you're terminally ill, they're going to put it in the special lane anyway. They should, or you can make a request to go to it in the special lane. But I've never heard the terminology of special ops lane or core lane, so I'm not sure what you're referring to. If you are diagnosed with obstructive sleep apnea, shouldn't it be easy to get service connected for chronic fatigue? It should be easy, but it's not. I think I already answered that. Can a DAV print out CMP exams? Some of them can. They have that capability of going to electronic system. They can print it out or put it on a thumb drive for you or something like that. Some of them have organizational rules that they don't do that type of thing, or local rule, chapter rules that they don't do that type of thing. It's all up to the organization. My point is, if they won't do it, find somebody who will. How long does a higher level review take on average? I think right now that I'm seeing them move pretty swiftly in about 2 months. So about 60 to 90 days is what I'm seeing. I was denied my sleep apnea claim with the Nexus letter. File a higher level review. I had an HLR for flat feet, and they found an error and sent me for 2 more CMP exams. The examiner said it was arthritis. Can I submit new evidence at this time? I have a buddy letter supporting my claim for flat feet. Yes. If you file HLR, they find a duty to assist error. That means it's sent back to the supplemental claim lane. At the time that it's sent back to the supplemental claim lane, you can add new evidence. This is a very good question. I filed a claim for joint pain, but x-rays didn't show any signs of arthritis. Do you think this would negatively affect the outcome of the exam rating? It might. It could, but it's not a guarantee of anything. Is requesting your C-file like opening a new claim? No, it's not. Can someone go from 80% with TDIU, PNT to 100% scheduler, still have issues working, but they will feel more secure with a scheduler rating? Yes, you can. I'm rated 0% for alopecia. How can I get an increase being that I have permanent hair loss from VA prescribed antidepressant medication? Put in for an increase and check the rating schedule and make sure that you can get an increase for it. I was denied for my sleep apnea claim with the Nexus letter written by my doctor. And my letter was previous cases as well as medical literature connecting sleep apnea to my conditions. I had my CMP exam May 11th and my claim was denied the very next day. The VA stated they sided with the rater. Doesn't the tie go to the veteran or the runner? It should. Theoretically, that's what should happen. Policy-wise, that's what should happen. In practice, that's certainly not what the VA does. They do not side with the veteran most of the time. They go with the VA exam. I was informed by another agent a couple weeks ago that the Undersecretary for Benefits, Tom Murphy, was saying that while private medical evidence should be considered valid, that they're now taking telehealth exams, blah, 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 that they believe there's some fraud happening with fee-based providers. Well, hell, forgive my French, but the VA examiner is a fee-based provider too. You know what I mean? Somebody is paying them to give you an exam. Actually, our tax dollars are paying for them to give you an exam. So if I go pay somebody myself, just because I pay for them myself doesn't mean that's fraud. But anyway, that's beside your question. Your question is, shouldn't the tie go to the veteran? The answer is yes. Do they do it in practice? No. You should ask for a higher level review, argue the benefit of the doubt, argue that your evidence should have been given greater weight, and you should be granted. If it doesn't get connected there, either get more evidence, submit a supplemental claim, or go to the board. Whatever you do, don't give up on a claim. I had a recent comp and pen exam, and before starting, hey, doggy woggy. Before starting the exam, the examiner stated the paperwork already had been filled out mostly fully. Is this a concern? Possibly. How did they have it already almost filled out? I will write up a statement and submit it to the VA about it. Ask for a new exam if it didn't go your way. What would be the best way to file for psoriatic arthritis? I'm service connected for psoriasis, 30% PTSD, 50%, 10% tinnitus combined rating. It would just be to put in it for an increase in psoriasis. You don't need to file psoriatic arthritis separately. What if Q was granted and goes back many years? Can a retrospective exam be ordered in an effort to properly develop this evaluation over that time in the past? What if Q was granted and goes back many years? I've seen them do it. Like, I have a veteran who was awarded TDIU for a certain time period, and the VA ordered an exam and asked the examiner, well, before 1991, was the veteran unable to work? Asking them in 2020, was in 1991 the veteran unable to work? So I've seen them do similar things. I don't think it's proper. I would argue that it's not proper, probably, if it didn't go my way. If it did go my way, I would leave it alone. I'm just saying. But I believe that they can, but they shouldn't. That's my answer off the top of my head without knowing the details. Hello, I was service connected last year for PTSD due to MST, depression, August 2020. I'm seeing 2A VA doctors on meds. The VA rated me 0% because of my discharge. Put in for increase ASAP, 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 ASAP. If your discharge was upgraded, put in for increase ASAP. I am service connected for tinnitus and migraines and have been prescribed medication for vertigo, which is secondary to migraines or tinnitus. I would put in for vertigo. I would claim vertigo secondary to tinnitus and migraines. Put it in for both of them. Give yourself every option to get service connected. I did my CMP exam for PTSD, but my examiner said I didn't have PTSD, but a mental disorder. Would I be denied since she said I didn't have PTSD? Well, you still get connected for the mental disorder, even if it's not PTSD. So they asked them if does the veteran have PTSD? If the examiner says no, there should be another question that says if it's not PTSD, but some other mental health disorder, is that service connected? And the examiner has an opportunity to rate that. What kind of info can I submit for sinusitis if I don't have documentation for those 10 plus years after I read a statement of symptoms? Is being diagnosed with dizziness different from vertigo when filing for VA benefits? Theoretically, it's different. Practically, it's about the same thing, and they order the same exam for it. So, examiner, any physician, nurse practitioner, physician assistant, doctor is likely not going to diagnose you with just dizziness. That's usually a symptom, much like fatigue. I'm talking disability language. I'm not a medical professional, so I can't tell you medical world stuff. I'm talking about what I see in disability world. They're probably going to diagnose you with vertigo. So really, there is no difference in disability world. I take a medication to help with acid reflux, but it doesn't say I have GERD in my medical records. Can I file for GERD with just the medication I take? Yes. Acid reflux and GERD is the same thing. I was upgraded to general under honorable. How do I get rated for compensation without losing back pay for service connected while waiting for the upgrade board? I would submit all the documentation you have that shows your situation has been upgraded with the claim as soon as possible. If I had a shoulder MRI while active duty that showed 2 tears, but I never followed up in recent MRI, now that I'm retired, can I file a claim now? You certainly can. How many days should a migraine log be? I generally advise 1 to 3 months. 1 month is enough, but if you want to be thorough, give them 2 to 3. Can I still file for disability benefits even though I have a month and a half left in service? Yes, you can. I would advise that you file ASAP. Why does it take so long to get a non-combat PTSD rating, even with all the documentation needed and a psychologist diagnosis? It's just the VA. They don't do much fast. I have had 2 CMP exams for plantar fasciitis for my HLI claim that was submitted February 2nd. I'm still waiting on results. Is there anything or anyone I can contact to find out what is causing the delay? I will get a representative with electronic access to the VA system. They can tell you what's going on. If a Q is granted, can a veteran somehow recoup educational expenses that were paid out when the vet could have qualified for voc rehab that time in the past? Theoretically, you should be able to. Practically, I can tell you that I've never seen it with voc rehab happen. I've never seen voc rehab backdated, but that doesn't mean that it can't happen. You could set up blaze the trail for other veterans. I'm 100% PNT living overseas, Africa. Will I have to come to the States for a CMP exam if I apply for ANA? No, you won't. They should find you a provider over in Africa, or ask if I just had a veteran turn in some claims that's living in Saudi Arabia, and they gave him a few options for completing his CMP exams. One of them was if his personal provider, private provider, would fill out the documents for him, the DBQ and medical opinion. We did that for his foot condition and sent it back within a couple days. They will probably give you the same option. If they do, if your private provider won't do it, find one of the Nexus providers on the list in our group, Facebook group. I see you on YouTube, so find our Facebook group, which is on my YouTube channel page. There we have a list of providers who provide Nexus opinions, and find somebody who will fill out that paperwork for you and return it. That's about the best way to go about foreign program exams. Otherwise, the VA will find somebody in Africa or telehealth-wise to provide an exam for you. It might take some time. The fastest way is definitely finding your own provider and submitting the documents to the VA. I have tinnitus, 10% service connected. If I mention in a headache claim that my tinnitus aggravated my headaches along with rhinitis, will they open back up tinnitus rating? No, they won't. Was just denied for tinnitus and pseudofolliculitis barbae, razor bumps. That's in my medical record. How do I proceed from there? I would appeal. Find more evidence, submit a supplemental, submit a higher level review, or take it to the board. Thank you for the information. You are a wonderful help and vet's blessing. Thank you so much. I enjoy it. So if a vet is given medication for a condition, but a written diagnosis is not in the vet's records, can a vet file a claim for a condition being treated? Thank you for all you do for us. Much love. Yes. I will tell you this, though. If you have been prescribed medication for a condition, I can tell you with 100% certainty, something has been diagnosed. Even if it's a provisional diagnosis, something has been diagnosed, and you need to find that assessment in your medical records. Figure out where it's at, what it is, what you've been diagnosed, provisionally diagnosed with, or assessed as having, and what they have amounted your symptoms to, and claim that, or claim what you think the medication is prescribed for, or something like that. If it's just for pain, hey, file for pain. File for whatever it is that you're being treated for. Can I connect sleep apnea to migraines? I've seen folks do it. Arm service connected for tinnitus. It's causing insomnia and depression. To claim secondary to tinnitus, do I need a diagnosis or just submit a claim on those illnesses being common with tinnitus? You can do it either way. I'm going to say this. I frequently claim insomnia and headaches secondary to tinnitus without the veteran having had a previous diagnosis, and it gets connected all the time. I do see sometimes you'll get a crappy VSR who will say it's not clinically diagnosed and reject the claim. That happens probably about 1 in 5 claims. Sometimes the examiner will say the veteran has no diagnosis. That happens probably 1 in 5 claims. So you have probably about a 3 in 5 chance of, some examiner diagnosing it itself and getting rated. But these are just my numbers. These aren't VA numbers. But the safest way to go about it is to get a diagnosis first. Go to the doctor, complain about it, complain about your tinnitus causing insomnia and depression, and then file a claim. Or go ahead and file an intent to file, then go to the doctor and get a diagnosis, or just go ahead and file it. Advice to connect something to my lower back and lumbar issues. Claim it. Go to the doctor and complain about it. I had some mystery claim open up by the VA with about 7 to 8 items I didn't claim. Had no open claims except for an unrelated HLR. Is this common? I can just send a supplemental claim for a couple of the items that were denied? Yes. But if you submit a couple supplemental, make sure you add new and relevant evidence. All right, guys, that seems to be all our questions for this afternoon. Thank you so much for joining me. Sorry I'm having a hard time talking. Again, I had dental surgery. It's pretty extensive, and I'm still waiting on the second half of it. But thank you all for joining me. I wish you the best in your claims. I'll try to help as much as possible. Again, I'm not currently accepting new clients, so please don't inbox me asking if I will take your case. And the alternative is to go to my website, veteransdisabilityclaims.com, veterans with the S, claims with the S, veteransdisabilityclaims.com. I have a couple recommendations there for you of other folks you can use. Please don't wait on me to file your claim. My list is long as it is. There's probably over 80 names right now of people that have said they're waiting. I've told them not to wait, but they're waiting. So please don't wait on me. Go ahead and file your claim. And I wish you the best. Y'all have a wonderful evening.